This week we're painting Wolverine from Crisis Protocol. Really? Another Wolverine? Hi guys, Jonathan from Two Raven Studios. Welcome! Make sure you're subscribed. I do painting videos, model reviews, and general gaming content. There's a new video every week, so you don't want to miss out. This week we're going to paint Wolverine in his classic John Byrne brown 80s outfit. If you watched last week, I painted him in his yellow outfit. I'm going to link that up here because the skin, the claws, the black parts, and the red belt are going to be the same on both. So instead of going over that stuff again, you can just watch that video to check that out. But what we're going to go over today is how to paint the brown parts and the yellow parts of the body. So we're going to start with the airbrush. We didn't do that last time, but we're going to start with it this time. So we're going to hop into the airbrush and let's get going. So just like last time, we're going to be underpainting with magenta from Monument Hobbies Pro Acryl. So we're just doing this pink undercoat. So the yellow and the browns are going to have some nice depth once we put them on top. So start off with the airbrush from a low angle, and then I went in with a regular brush to just refine the shadows a little bit more. So you want to paint it on and then blend it out. So you can kind of see what I'm doing. I put the paint on one area, and then quickly I just clean the brush off and blend that out into the surrounding areas. Just like that. So we're going to paint the yellow parts first. We're using Nags Drag Yellow contrast paint. So we're going over the legs, the body. I should have mentioned this in the beginning. I actually did a little bit of work with some Milliput on the body to get rid of the dags on the side of the body because this costume is not going to have them. But we're just going over the legs, the sides of the body with this color and the top of the head. Just try not to let it pull up and let that pre-shading we did give us a little bit more depth. Then for the parts that are going to be brown, we're just going to use Gore Grunter Fur. You just want to be a little bit careful that seam between those two colors to try not get much of an overlap there. We want a nice and clean line between the brown parts and the yellow parts. So the shoulder pads, the gloves, the boots, and the middle of the body are getting this color. Again, just take your time with this and try not to let it pull up in any areas. Now that we have the colors in place, we're just going to reinforce everything. So I'm going to start with Yellow Ochre from Pro Acryl, and I'm going over the yellow parts. This is partially a highlight and partially just cleaning up the areas to give more defined highlights and shadows. This color complements the Nags Drag Yellow that we used in the previous step pretty well, so it kind of blends together nicely. You just want to find a paint that kind of matches the color already on the body. You can see that off camera I started filling in all the other areas. Like I said, you can follow the Yellow Wolverine costume tutorial for all of those parts. Again, whenever you're painting highlights, you want to drag the brush towards the area you want the brightest, because that's where most of the paint's going to wind up. Now I mixed a little bit of pale yellow in with that yellow ochre, and we're going to refine those highlights. So just going along the tops of the edge of the muscles. The muscles on this sculpt are really well defined, so it's kind of easy to follow them and just pump up the highlights a little bit more this way. So you have the seam on the side of the leg to work with, but then all the muscles, like I said, they're very well sculpted. It's easy just to follow the ridges of them and give some highlights. And as I said in the last step, you always want to drag your brush towards the area you want the brightest, because that's where most of the paint's going to be deposited. Now with burnt sienna from Pro Acryl, we're going to do the same thing on the brown parts now. So we're kind of repeating the process we did on the yellow, but with just different colors. So as you can see, this wound up being a little bit more blotchy than the yellow did. So I really want to clean that up and smooth everything out with this color. Partially acting as a highlight, partially acting as just smoothing out everything. We want to leave that darkness in the shadows, but just give it some highlight here and there. And just as we did in the last step, we're going to do the same thing. We're just mixing a little bit of shadow flesh in with the burnt sienna. Shadow flesh is kind of like a dark skin color. It's a good complement to highlight this area. I'm just going over the ridges. Sorry that the camera is focusing on my hand, not the miniature. There we go. But just like the other parts, just follow the tops of the muscles, kind of the ridges along the fingers, that sort of thing. With a miniature as well sculpted as this, it's pretty easy just to follow the parts you need to highlight. Once you're done this, you just need to finish all the other steps. Like I said, the yellow Wolverine video has all those steps in it. You can watch that to get to the rest of the steps. But after this, we are done. This is the finished product. Pretty quick work on this one. Pretty happy with how this came out. I like this classic costume. It's a cool look for Wolverine. It's cool with these Crisis Protocol figures because you can kind of get creative with the different costumes they've had over the years. I kind of want to paint a gray X-Force Wolverine now too. I know what's wrong with me. That would be a third Wolverine. I hope you guys found that useful. If you did, I'd appreciate a like. Make sure you're subscribed so you don't miss out on any future content. And if there's anything you'd like to see me paint, let me know in the comments below, because I have a few things that are upcoming, but I'm always looking for new ideas and things to paint. But until next time, keep on gaming and paint your minis.